So what happens is it forces them to they drop their guard, and they will tell you things that they wouldn't normally say.
So I'm John Nesbitt, and welcome to the $1 Million Practice Builder Show. We're providing growth-oriented doctors with the tools they need to build multi-million-dollar practices and beyond. And today's topic is a hot one, much requested: how to hire productive staff. If you're like me, you know how it's like everybody knows how to hire unproductive staff. It's easy. You just wave some money in the air. People show up and they put in their hours, right? But we want to show you how to hire actual productive staff. Because you really can't build $1 million practice alone. I mean, you can try to do all the jobs, but if you're really going to get there and actually have a lifestyle, you're going to need a lot of people who are around. Surround yourself with people who are productive. And so that's a big barrier. You ask anybody who's built a big practice, and they've solved this problem of how to hire the right people, right? So who can we possibly ask for advice on this sort of thing? How we put the call out, who possibly knows how to hire people like this, right? And I actually found one of the top experts on hiring good staff is someone named Laurie Prescott. Laurie Prescott's been a very successful practice manager for years and years and years. She's helped hire more good staff than anybody's ever fired, right? Helped build practices. And I was lucky to actually get a time slot with her, and she's actually joining us on today's show. Hi, Laurie. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Good to see you.
Good. So tell folks what you've been doing the last few decades.
Well, I'm actually a licensed chiropractor. I don't know if you knew that or not. Yeah. I've been a licensed chiropractor for 34 years. but I was the youngest of my class. I had just turned 22 when I became a licensed chiropractor.
Wow.
And so I was ready to set the world on fire. It's just being a young pup. And I learned from some guys, some things that I learned when I was first out of school. Was a chiropractor who was very busy told me, don't listen to anything that anybody says that's not seeing as many as you want to see. And he was seeing like 300 in a week. And so I was like, okay, good. So I'm only listening to him. Don't listen to the guy who's, doing 100 visits a week, because he doesn't know how to get there. And in fact, in consulting people, I've had guys pair up on courses together and twin, if you will, on a course together. And I've had guys that were seeing like 30 or 40 visits a week starting out as a client of mine, and ones that were seeing 300, and they're paired up together. And then I hear the 300 guy going, well, I think I'm going to do what he's doing. I'm like, oh, good God, no. Don't change what he's only seen 30 visits a week. No. You're the one who's right. He's not right.
Yeah, take advice to the right place.
What you're doing, So, but I did start the Prescott group because I wanted to help chiropractors get busier because of the miracles that we do perform every day. And any chiropractor that you talk to has their miracle stories, and the ones that bring tears to your eyes. I actually often thought, I should put a book together, interview chiropractors, and put a book together of their miracle stories, because we all have them. And the patients that let's face it, they come to us because nobody else has helped them,
Right.
And they've been everywhere else and nobody else has helped them. And so that is the pleasure of being a chiropractor. But we weren't growing enough, and I wanted more people to have chiropractic than what they were having. And so that's why I started the Prescott group. And I built some of the biggest chiropractic practices in the country. And then when I sold the consulting business, I sold to Chiropractic Business Academy. They changed the name to Chiropractic Business Academy, and those guys are still around, still helping people. And I signed a non-compete for 5 years, so I didn't do any consulting for 5 years, and I just helped my two sons. Both of my sons are chiropractors, and they have busy practices, and they're doing very, very well financially and loving what they do, helping people every day. And so then my non-compete was up, and I said, okay, fine. I could go back to helping other chiropractors. So that's where I'm at now.
Wow, that's great. Well, I'm damn glad you're back.
And so I've been in the trenches. I know exactly what it's like. I know what the staff are like and what they're not like and what patients are like. But I've also been a consultant for 22 years. And so I've helped thousands of chiropractors, as well as other health professionals, to get the right staff and to establish a practice so that they can just run it as a business.
That's great.
Because most doctors don't think in those terms. They think in terms of themselves doing things. But when you're talking about $1 million practice, it's a business, and you have to think just like anybody else who has a business. You have to have key staff, and they have to know their jobs.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've never seen $1 million practice with one guy in it. So
exactly.
Yeah, most likely you have that. All right. And just for anybody who's like frantic about reading, ready to take down a whole bunch of notes, at the end of today's show, we're actually going to give you a downloadable checklist of all the things we're about to go over so that you can have it. So what you can do is it frees you up to kind of mentally listen to the whole show and what we're doing today and pay attention and be here in the moment, knowing that at the end, we're basically going to provide you all the notes. Okay, so you'll have a chance to download takes at the end. All right, so that whenever I hear that in a show like this, it takes the pressure off. Like, okay, I don't have to write everything down. So we make that easy on you. And then at the very end, I always squeeze a special deal out of my guests for anybody who's really having this hiring trouble and wants to get it handled. We have something very special for you at the end there too. Right. So, Lori, tell me, what's the condition? What's the mistake most of these guys make? Where do you usually find folks when you come across them?
I think they just tend to not know what to look for, and they just take the best looking candidate. Actually, I was just talking with one of my consultants, and it's funny. One of the questions that you ask the people is list your top 6 assets for the office. Well, actually, we added for the office because on an interview they said list the top 6 assets, and some gal put, well, my looks, my legs, my
oh no,
all of her anatomy. That was her top 6 assets. Now, some of the guys I know would go, yes, yeah, exactly. That's why I'm hiring her.
Yeah, hiring criteria can vary, I suppose.
Yes, but that is one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen. And not to say that they're doing it just because of the way the person looks, but they think in a chiropractic office it's about health, and so the person needs to look a certain way. And that's not the case. You want that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for the most, and you want to get the most productive person out of that interview.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I've had this experience, and I've actually come across this where you call into an office. I've called a client's office or a doctor's office before, and you get a really bad experience calling in. Like the front desk person is terrible, right? And you finally get through to the doc. He's, hey doc, that front desk person, she's got to go. That's terrible. You know what the number one answer I get when I've had that happen? You know what the number one thing the doctor says? I know. She's terrible. I know. And exactly. I can only guess it's because that's better than what the alternative might be. Either not having somebody, or they're not sure the next one's going to be any better. So they stick with the same one.
And the flip side of the hiring is the firing. And a lot of doctors can't fire. So they just get somebody willy-nilly, and not knowing what they're doing. They just hire somebody, and then they can't fire that person. And so they hang on to them for years. And they'll say, oh, yeah, I know she's bad, but I can't fire her.
Wow, they literally can't bring themselves to let bad staff go.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's okay.
So we do work with guys on that too, just like being able to not be beholden to a staff member.
Oh yeah, you can be sort of held hostage if you can't get rid of that person. Then you're in a tough place. Right. Okay. Well, so you've got apparently a couple of tips. What are your top 5 tips on how someone can go about hiring properly so you get a productive person and not just whatever walks in the door?
Well, the first thing that I would do is instead of you doing one interview after another and scheduling weeks on end of getting, one person in front of you, is just do a group interview and get a bunch of them at the same time. And you'll find that you'll get a lot of calls, and people are online sending their resumes and all that kind of stuff. And then they want to come for the interview. And you said 2 times, maybe like that are convenient for people to come to. One in the morning and one in the evening, just like you do scheduling patients. Yeah. And then you get the groups in front of you, because there's a lot of people that will say that they want to do the interview and then they don't show. So number one, do they show? Do they keep their word? Oh, yeah, I'm coming. Do they keep their word? Do they show? Okay. And then number two, how do they show up? How are they dressed? They're coming for an interview, and believe it or not, you see them in cutoff shorts and, a crop top and their hair up in a ponytail up on top of their head and chomping on gum. So at least when guys tell me, well, I can't decide because they're doing an interview and they look good and they know how to present themselves. Well, at least that person knows how to present themselves, you see? Yeah. So you eliminate the ones that don't even know how to present themselves. But in a group format, it saves you time on how to get rid of the ones that show up in the crop top and the cut-up shorts. I'm in California, so maybe
that's everybody there, right?
The colder areas there, but
yeah, it doesn't happen a lot in Wisconsin for the January hire, but yeah.
So you do the group interview, and here's the other thing: in a group interview, you have them all fill out your normal form, wherever you worked, or they bring their resume, and then you stand up, give a little bit about chiropractic, what your office is all about, what your mission statement is, or what you do there, how you're unique. And then you have each of them stand up to the group and tell the group why it is that they want to work in a chiropractic office.
Ooh, interesting.
Now, what happens when they stand up in front of an audience? Number one, a fear of public speaking is like one of the top fears of people. So what happens is it forces them to drop their guard, and they will tell you things that they wouldn't normally say in an interview. So because they're speaking to the group. So they'll stand up and say things like, well, I just moved here. My husband's in the Navy, and we're trying to get pregnant, and I'm planning on moving probably in about a year, but but I just love chiropractic, and chiropractic's the greatest, and I've been to chiropractors and they're so wonderful. Wow. So now some guys would look at that and go, well, she loves chiropractic and she looks good. She looks healthy, but what did that person just tell you off guard? That they're leaving in a year and they're trying to get pregnant. Now, it makes it more difficult to have somebody to train. Do you want to put the time in to train somebody who's going to leave in a year and someone who's going to be pregnant and be out of the office? So they're telling you some things when you do the group interview. So you can get a process of elimination on that. I was just talking to one of my consultants before I did this with you, and he said, one of the things that he had happen was some gal, they'd stand up and answer the questions, tell people who they are, and he gets to the last person, and the gal's got her arms crossed, and she goes, no, you've got my resume there. You could just read my resume. I'm not standing up. And he was like, oh, okay, thank you. You can leave. Yeah. Because somebody who's, got their arms crossed and is not participating already, you don't want that. You see?
Yeah, it's an immediate tell. Yeah, they reveal themselves in an unusual situation like that.
Right. So you kind of throw them off guard a little bit, and then they tell you who they really are. And you can get people saying, they've had wonderful experiences with a chiropractor saved my life, things like that. Okay, mm-hmm. That's somebody who's really on board with chiropractic,
Yeah.
as opposed to, say, somebody who's like, well, I'm a dental assistant or a dental receptionist, and, I just thought I'd come here. It's not that different. Well, that can be good too. You just have to dig a little bit further. But somebody who's like had their life saved or their kid's life saved, or somebody with chiropractic, they're more operating from a purpose, and they're going to be a little bit more on fire when the patient's trying to miss their appointment.
No, very valuable, because it's always the trick in hiring that how do you get the person to actually reveal their true face? Because you always get the game face. You always get they always present to you what they think you want to see as the ideal employee, which is kind of funny when you see them come in and they act all surly or weird, that they think that's the ideal way to act to get the job, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see how that would probably pull it out of people. Clever,
Yeah.
very clever.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
good, good. So after that, what do you do?
So then, after you've had them do their little thing standing up, what you're looking for while they're talking is these out points that you're say, like, well, I'm trying to get pregnant, I'm moving in a year, that kind of thing. Or, well, I really believe drugs is the answer, but I need a job. I mean,
Yeah.
they say stuff like this, believe it or not. And guys hire that person too because she looked healthier. So, what you really want to hone in on is somebody's confront level, being able to stand up and confront the group and talk to the group. And also how their lag time is in their communication and their tone level, or how upbeat they are when they're talking to the group.
How do you measure their lag time? How do you measure their lag time?
Well, that you would normally do more in the one-on-one interview, but you'll see it sometimes when they stand up. But the lag time on the one-on-one interview, when you ask a question, a simple question, just what's your favorite color? I'm not saying that's a question that you ask, but just to not put anything on the question. It's you ask the question, and how long does it take for them to answer the question? And you see this in life too, and in patients. Good God, But you ask, how does that pain radiate down your leg, and they give you, well, it really hurts in the morning time, and it's killing me when I bend over, and but yeah, it does radiate down my leg. So they didn't answer the question until
so not the point where they start talking or finish talking, but when they actually start giving you the actual answer to the question. Everything else is sort of vamping before that, huh? Kind of filling it in, huh?
Yeah. So the obvious is you ask somebody, what's your favorite color? And they go, wow. Yeah, that's a tough one. I would have to say red is my favorite color.
Okay.
That's an obvious communication lag time. So when you ask, where is Mrs. Jones' file? That person will sit there and go, God, yeah, that's a great question. It might be in the filing cabinet,
Wow.
So, but the one that trips you up is where their jaws are flapping, but they're not answering the question. So you say, what's your favorite color? And they go, well, I look really great in yellow, and I love to wear green in the springtime. And, my bedroom's purple. But I would have to say my favorite color is blue. They didn't actually answer the question until they said, my favorite color is blue. So that's all of the mental gyrations that they have to go through to actually get an answer.
So that's not like an index of how fast they think, or what?
Yeah, okay. How fast they think and how sane they are, basically.
Wow, okay. Well, all right, good to know. I need to answer some people faster now. I'm going to be really nervous the rest of the day. I'm going to answer your questions really quick. Okay. All right, good. What else do you have there? What's the next tip?
So after they do the group interview, you're looking for how upbeat somebody is, how communicative somebody is, and they may say things, which is awesome if they say stuff like, well, I just moved here from Virginia, and in the office that I was in, I worked in a chiropractic office, and when I went there, it was doing 100 visits a week, and when I left, it was at 200 visits a week. That's somebody who keeps stats and knows that they contributed to the stats. So if you can get somebody who can make a stat go up, boom, hands down, done, game over. That's who you want.
Well, that one you give, that person sounds like they're proud of it too. Like they know it and they're proud of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And somebody who is a game player keeps track of their stats in their own head, even if nobody's asking for the stats. And I've seen it when you interview people. Well, okay, well, how did you make the job better? What was the job doing when you went on it? What kind of production? And what was it when you left? And they're almost like relieved. Somebody finally asked them what their stats were. Okay, so when I went on the job, it was a total mess. The office was a disaster, and blah, 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 and then I put in this, and I got this in, and this is how it ran, and the doctor hated for me to leave, but my husband got a job out here, and so we moved here. You see?
Wow. That
So
sounds like a keeper.
That's the keeper, no matter what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but so you're going around, they're standing up and they're telling these things. So on their resume, you're making some notes to yourself so you remember which one's which and which one had the best qualities. And if somebody, maybe none of them talked about their production, so you can ask them that in the one-on-one interview. But you pick the top 3 or 4 that you that you liked. Tell the others that you will give them a call, and you interview one-on-one the top 3. So you take them back and you ask them the questions. What kind of production did you do? Oh, I don't know what kind of production it was. Well, what was the company that you work? I see that you work for, Acme here. What was your post? What did you do? What were you responsible for? And get them to talk about it. If they talk about the position with pride and ownership, well, when I went on the post, it was like this, and then it got to be like, and I did do a good job there. Then you see that they took responsibility for that position, no matter what that position was. If you can get actual stats, hallelujah, that's fantastic. But not everybody does that. Not everybody keeps stats. And then some of the other questions, like I was saying, some of the questions that we ask is, or that we have them list out is, list your 6 best assets, and you can ask them that. What would you say were your 6 best assets in the company? What are your 6 best assets?
6, I don't know. I would run dry after about 3, I think, So they got to list out their 6 best kind of qualities, or the best 6 things that help them out.
Yeah, what they're bringing to the table, And then, and what's the best quality? What's the best one that you really pride yourself on?
Okay.
And then another would be, how could you best help our office? And just see how they communicate, how upbeat they are, their communication level, the communication lag time. So you're looking for all of this, and are they used to producing some stats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then another question that's key is, where do you see yourself in 2 years? Because right there they will tell you, oh, I'm moving. Oh, I'm going back to nursing school. I want to be a dental hygienist, or whatever it is that are their goals. And it's totally fine for them to have goals and be elsewhere. It's just, you have to ask yourself, do you want to put the time and energy into somebody? And let's face it, it takes some time and energy to get a great receptionist or a great tech person, or, it takes some training to get them to where they're hopping and popping like you want it.
Yeah.
So you don't really want them just fully getting trained and then they're out of there.
You basically train them for the next job. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Good.
And then one of the other things that I would say afterwards is, so you've done the top 3, have all 3 of them come back at different times, not necessarily at the same time. You can do it at the same time, and do a working interview and see who can produce. So if it's a receptionist, they come back and they do recalls. Here's a sheet of recalls. There's the phones. Start. Let's see how you do. And whoever gets the most in the shortest amount of time is the one who can produce the best.
Wow. Okay.
So that's important. If you're doing it like for a marketer or something, you give them a survey, a health survey, a stress survey, something like that. Go out and hit the, clipboards and pens in hand, go hit the streets, come back in an hour, and let's see who's got the most. Whoever's got the most is going to be a good marketer.
That's funny you say that. I've always had the clipboard test, I call it, where you send them out day one, go survey some people, right? And you lose a lot of clipboards doing that.
Yes.
But anybody can go out there on day one and even ask a total stranger 5 questions for you about chiropractic. If they come back with 10 of those things done, you got to keep her usually. You got to get someone who will produce and can handle people. Yeah.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I would say is, make sure you call on their references. Most guys don't call on the references.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think maybe they just don't want to bother somebody else, or they think the other person's not going to give them any information. And
Hmm.
there are laws that, about you can't, be it really can't tell it straight basically, but there's laws, but somebody can read between the lines. Like you can always ask, well, if they still lived in your area, would you hire them back?
Yeah.
you know and if you get it, oh yeah, hands down, I would hire this person again, you got to keep her.
Yeah.
you know
That's great. I love actually. I'm very happy so far. You're listing out things where you know for sure when you've got a good one, because there's so many times that people concentrate on all the negative side of, oh, if they come in here and they do this, they're gone. Oh, you disqualify
Right.
them so easy. I love actually hearing these ones like, okay, someone does this, then you've got a good one, and that's how you can have some certainty that now you can put your time and attention into training them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I've had doctors call me and say, I want to get rid of my receptionist. And because she's really bugging me, and I don't like her. And I go, and my first question is, what's her stats? Well, her stats are, just, she's cranking. Her stats are just going up and up and up. But I don't like her. Well, I don't care if you like her. Don't go out for drinks afterwards. She's making you a ton of money, and she's making your stats go up. You have to keep her. And they're like, oh God, do I have to? Yes, you do have to keep her, because she can make the stats go up.
Yeah.
So that's the bottom line, is can you make the stats go up?
Yeah, of course, you've got to be measuring stats to have any hope at all of being able to know what the truth is too on that.
Yes.
Because I've seen people who thought they had the unreplaceable person in their office. Oh, this person is unreplaceable, And then one day they're not there and they replace you. Find, oh no, they weren't unreplaceable. They just weren't doing that much, but they had you convinced they were. But those
Yes,
guys that were
exactly.
keeping stats. So
Yeah, you have to ask them, why were they unreplaceable? Oh, because if they say, oh, because she could produce like no one else, great. That is unreplaceable. If it's just they made you think that they're the best, and a lot of office managers have done that, because there is no course other than like what we train, how we train office managers, but there's no, business core or school that you can go to become an office manager. So an office manager is either somebody who's been around the longest, and she gets to call the shots, and she knows more than the doctor about where everything's at.
yeah,
Or she's somebody who's produced.
right. Let me ask this
And
question.
if they can produce, great.
How many people do you think it takes to find a good hire? Like when you do these interviews, like what's a? I mean, I know I'm asking you to kind of ballpark, probably an unreal number, but what do you think? What's the percentage of people out of 100, or how many people do you have to go through to get a good person? Half the people?
It's going to be quite a few numbers. It depends on where you're at in the country too. Like you're asking somebody in California, I mean, they advertise on the radio, the surf's up, call in sick, or we got a good snow day in the mountains. There's this, snow fever's going around, you call in sick, that's kind of the MO in California. So you get, at least from my personal opinion, what I've noticed is people from the Midwest and the South are better hires than the coasts, the East Coast, and then New York, and then California.
So not just located there, but people from those areas?
Yeah.
Or...
Like if you get somebody, like we'll talk about, oh, well, she's from Michigan. You go, oh, sweet. Oh, that's so great. Let's hire her.
Okay.
Because they have a better work ethic.
Interesting.
So in California, they don't have a very good work ethic, So it's just, so in California, you have to go through quite a few numbers. In Michigan or, Kansas or, the South, you don't have to go through as many numbers.
Wow.
But everybody thinks their area is bad. Like they always think their area is bad,
Wow.
because they're bad at spotting who's good. That all guys telling me is, because I've had clients all over the country, everywhere. I've consulted thousands of doctors. And all they're telling me when they say my area is bad is that they don't know how to pick the good ones. Basically, they don't know how to spot somebody who's uptone and able and capable of making a stat go up.
So you've never found an area of the country where you couldn't find good people? Out of thousands, you've never found an area where you...
It is a numbers game. You might, like, like I said, in California, you do have to go through quite a few numbers to get somebody. And like in Northern California, I'm in Southern, but in Northern California, in the Silicon Valley, the pay is outrageous. Like it's really high. You have to pay a lot more to get somebody of quality than, say, in Southern California.
Yeah, but you can charge more, so it all sort of evens out. Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have doctors that don't charge more than we've got to. That's a whole nother story. We have to get them up to par with their area. But anyway, that's another interview.
Oh, good. Well, it is always nice when you have a problem like hiring to at least start with the assumption that the problem can be solved.
Yes.
And so everybody should be out there, have the idea that, yes, you're not in that crazy area. We're all in that crazy area that's impossible to hire in. It's just knowing how to hire. That's the difference that makes it.
Exactly. There's fantastic. The gems in there.
Okay.
And you got to be able to spot them. In order to grow a $1 million practice, you do have to have a good team, and you have to be able to spot them. Not just the receptionist, but the sales and marketing people, as well as your treating doctor. You have to be able to spot the right treating doctor. I've had hire guys that just want to build their own practice, and then they take the practice and move it down the street. Thank you very much. So you have to know how to hire good people, or else you won't expand.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, good. So all right. So I think in the download that we're going to provide everybody, it's going to go through most of these points that we just went over, including some tips on the working interview. Because I think that's really important. I think people shortcut the hiring process. And if they've got these tips, they can just run down this checklist that you provided us, which I really appreciate that. That's going to help some people really get a lot out of this particular show. Now, I did twist your arm before we got on, and I always beg, plead, cajole, whatever, something special for our guys who watch this. I'll let you tell. What are you going to do for us? What
we have an hour for you that we can work with you on your hiring. If you're hiring somebody and you want to run them by us and say, okay, I got these 3. This is the data that I've got. Are there any other questions I should ask? Anything else that I need to be doing in order to pick the right person? Just give us a call.
It's like a hiring tune-up, right? So you can basically how to make sure that next person is going to be a productive staff member rather than an unproductive staff member. Yeah,
and I don't care if it's a few calls. We actually have like a free hour of work that I do normally charge $500 for. So it's a free hour of working with you on this or any other problem that you have, and it is just the same consulting that I would give to one of my clients who's paid me $500.
Wow.
So if all you need is an hour with me telling you what to do and you take off, well, hallelujah.
Good.
Next, give me the other guy who's hurting. Because my purpose is to help chiropractors see more people. Because early on in like I said, I am a licensed chiropractor, and I saw 400 visits a week. And I had a couple of offices. I saw 150 at another office, and I thought, my God, I can only see so many myself. How do I help more people with chiropractic? And every chiropractor that you know has a success story, has a win. They've saved somebody's life. Yeah. And let's face it, we get complacent with it. Like, it happens all the time, every day. Any chiropractor you talk to, oh yeah, I saved this person's life, or this person had this, and I say it's true. It happens all the time.
Yeah, it's something different than selling shoes or something. This is exactly. Real life. I mean, in an awesome way. That's why I love doing the marketing and helping these guys take over healthcare, because it needs to happen.
It does, and I'm going to tell you something. The guys who are doing the MDDC practices, they are changing the face of the medical profession. Because I consult holistic MDs as well. And one for one, they got it from some chiropractor. Like I have guys that do the stem cell. I have an MD that does the stem cell. He does a couple a month, and he loves it. And he's like, oh, this is great. But the chiros, they take it on the road. Everybody's getting and they put it on the map. And now it has changed the face of the whole medical profession. So we are the ones that are still standing, and the holistic guys. There wouldn't be a Whole Foods if it weren't for chiropractors telling their patients you need to eat holistically and things. If they were able to take chiropractors out, the holistic stuff would be out the window. So we're still standing.
We're still actually standing, getting stronger. As you know, I've seen more and more activity in our industry, building and building. And funny things like this are happening with the stem cell, especially. I've got a couple more than one client that said, "Oh, our rehab area is getting pretty empty because we do so much of the stem cell that they don't come back. They're good. We're getting dust in our rehab area. Send me something else. I can't treat a stem cell." Yeah,
it's the fountain of youth. It is amazing, and it is changing the medical profession.
Wow.
It is, and it's chiropractors that are doing it. Yeah. So I love chiropractic. That's why I consult mostly chiropractors.
Good.
So,
it's work for the good guys for a change.
Yes.
Use our powers for good. All right, good. So, all right. Well, by the way, your offer is very generous for the hour. I really appreciate it. I was, it's hard for me to ask you to give away $500 bills, but I appreciate you doing it, for our guys. And
it's my pleasure.
And the thing there. Okay, good. So, anything you wanted to add to what we've done here? Anything you want to say? Any other tips?
Just the main thing is look for somebody who can produce. If somebody can make a stat go up, that's what you need.
Great.
And yes, sometimes they show up in different ways. They show up dramatic and they show up, they show up in different ways, dogmatic, angry, like I'm just pushing this stat up, but they show up in different ways. But the bottom line is, can they make a stat go up? And if you're not keeping stats, you need to be keeping stats on everything.
Right on.
Okay. You can call me about that.
You know a little bit about keeping stats, I imagine.
I do.
All right. Well, good. Well, I really appreciate your time and coming and helping us sort through what is really, it's really one of the major blocks to building a killer practice is having the people to do it with. And you can sink the place with the wrong hire, or you can soar with the right hire. And so I really appreciate your advice and help on that. It's really valuable coming from the wealth of background and authority that you actually have on the whole thing. So thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, good. All right, and that's it for the $1 Million Practice Builders Show. We will see you next time. Get out there and help some people, all right?